Yesterday, minds were blown as XAI demoed Grok 3, now, based on most metrics, the world's best and most capable language model. Of course, won't be that long before somebody leapfrogs ahead and it's going to be a lot of tit for tat, back and forth, a very competitive race. But as of today, the Musk-led team at XAI, out of almost nowhere, arriving very late to the race, they weren't even on the starting blocks a couple of years ago, are now in first place. This has massive implications, not just for XAI in the future of language models, but also for Tesla. Now, stick with me. We're going to jump around a little bit, but it's important that I build the entire foundation here. First of all, a couple of weeks ago, Closed AI, formerly the company known as OpenAI until they swindled investors and became the inverse of what they were started to do, their leader, Scam Altman, who's doing his best to avoid detection of what exactly that would be his psychopathy by acting as meek and gentle as possible, yet he may have slipped up a little bit a couple of weeks ago. Things seemed to get a little bit personal there when Scam Altman was describing Elon Musk. We're not going to look at that full clip, but one statement that has aged like a glass of fucking milk from Scam Altman was this.
I wish he would just compete by building a better product, but I think there's been a lot of tactics, many lawsuits, all sorts of other crazy stuff, now this. And we'll try to just put our head down and keep working.
That's right. Sam Altman of OpenAI saying of Elon, I wish he would just compete by building a better product. Next minute, Grok 3 leapfrogs the best OpenAI language model. I guess Scam Altman just found out. Now, don't get me wrong, OpenAI will be working on their next generation LLM too. It'll drop eventually, probably within the next couple of months at most. But in the meantime, XAI aren't standing still. They're also continuing to improve Grok 3, which is currently in beta, and they've said there's going to be near daily updates. So the race is really on. Now, I noticed something, and unless you're a total nerd and a sucker for punishment, you may not have, but Elon Musk's shirt during this presentation where Grok 3 was demoed, and they had mountains of data to show its performance, shitting all over the world's best language models, leapfrogging them all. This right here, see that shirt? That is Millennia from Elden Ring. Her famous quote, I have never known defeat. Of course, I'm sure that was a total coincidence, right? It's not like Elon Musk wears a shirt with a character from Elden Ring, the hardest fucking boss I've personally ever encountered in a video game, at least until Elden Ring DLC, who has never known defeat. 2 weeks after Scam Altman challenged Elon to just build a better product, as Elon is unveiling a better product. Now, there was a little bit of back and forth on this as well. K10 said I was trying to make out what it was. Thanks. I added a little bit more context for those of you who aren't gamers, right? This boss, Millennia, gives many Elden Ring players PTSD. Elon responds to this. I can still see her walking towards me. Now, if you know, you know, and if you don't, let me just explain. Most people, even really capable video game players, unless they cheese this boss with a mimic tear and a blasphemous blade, will get their ass kicked dozens, if not 100+ times trying to beat this motherfucker, okay? Utterly ruthless boss. The question we might ask is, was this shirt just a happy coincidence? We will never know. So you might wonder, what exactly does this have to do with Tesla? And the answer is everything, motherfuckers. Allow me to explain. On screen now, with the title Progress at Ludicrous Speed, we have language reasoning and others, really OpenAI here, with GPT-2, 3, 3.54 and 4.0, their current model. We can see over time impressive progress in terms of language reasoning with the GPT models, each successively much better than the last. But you might note something. We're going all the way back to, call it 2019 here, almost the beginning of the year. XAI with Grok, look how late they are to join the race. Literally years late to the party, and out of almost nowhere, looks like a fucking Starship launch, almost vertical progress. And now, as we know today, Grok 3, if this data went all the way to early 2025, we're slightly in excess of GPT-4o. This is bonkers. Now, how exactly the fuck did this happen? How did a small, agile team, literally years late to the party, remember everyone was shitting their fucking bed? Oh my God, ChatGPT. Oh my God, it's amazing, right? A couple of years ago, people were fucking losing their minds. How is it possible that OpenAI have not managed to maintain a lead? They're much better financed, bigger headcount. How does this happen? Well, this is curious, isn't it? We're now looking at total training. This is training compute. And again, we see an interesting trend here. Out of almost nowhere, suddenly, XAI get online more training compute available for their Grok 2 model, not even 3, than OpenAI had for GPT-4. Now, this is a very interesting tale. For those of you who aren't familiar, this motherfucker right here, known as Colossus, apt, I must say, comprised of 200,000 GPUs. Phase 1 was up and running in just 122 days. And this was 100,000 GPUs, completely coherent, fully synchronized, from scratch. At the time, Jensen Huang, NVIDIA CEO, in short said, holy fuck, this is insane. Nobody could possibly have done something this fast except an Elon Musk-led team. Many of the so-called experts in the industry thought a project like this could take around 18 months to come online, not 122 days. Batshit insane. Moreover, most industry quote-unquote experts also thought it was actually impossible to have this many GPUs working together coherently in a supercluster. But Elon comes along, first principles thinking, with a relatively large brain, goes, hang on a minute, why wouldn't it be possible? Is it possible to get these things to work together coherently? Oh, it is. Okay, well, let's fucking do it. This has also, by the way, now made XAI NVIDIA's number one customer. NVIDIA now knows, hang on, Elon's got a big brain and they're doing shit no one else can even figure out how to do. They figured out how to get a huge cluster coherent. They were able to do things much faster than anyone else and also do things that others thought were literally impossible in terms of scale. Which customer should we give priority for in the future for buying GPUs? The customer that we know is going to buy as many as they can fucking get their hands on, get them up and running as fast as fucking possible, take delivery as fast as possible, and pay us as fast as possible? Or the customers who are borderline retarded relative to XAI and can't even figure out how to coherently scale a supercluster even close to this size? Now, remember those charts earlier we saw training on the previous models? Well, it turns out Grok 3 had 10 times more training than Grok 2. And what do you fucking know? More training equals more capabilities. And now, the benchmarks. And holy shit, are these impressive. And sorry for the people who aren't super giga autists and total nerds, but stick with me. This is really important stuff. In blue, we have Grok 3 and Grok 3 Mini, which, by the way, appear to be completely independent models. Grok 3 Mini, a little bit less load heavy, quicker queries, less compute involved. And Grok 3, on these benchmarks for math and science and coding, Grok 3 outperforming Grok 3 Mini by a reasonable amount. It's in a league of its own relative to everything else. But curiously, even Grok 3 Mini is outperforming the rest of the industry. Awkward. We also have performance in the chatbot arena. The short story here, it's almost like a battle royale of different chatbots. Users ask a query, they get two answers from different chatbots they don't know. It's like a double-blind type of experiment. No one knows what's going on behind the scenes. You just get given two answers to a query, pick the one that's best, and off you go. And what do you know? An early Grok 3 model, not even the one we've seen debut and now launched globally, an early Grok 3 model reached an ELO score of 1400. Best in the world. And again, the users rating these responses don't know what model the response came from. They're just rating the quality of the response. So I reiterate, a company that didn't even exist a couple of years ago joins the party late and then out of seemingly nowhere, in almost no time at all, builds the world's largest super cluster for training in world record time. Did I mention it's the world's biggest by miles as well? And as a result of this gigantic world record in terms of size and uptime, start to finish, next minute, lots of training compute plus quality data equals world's best performing LLM. What the actual fuck? Now, during this demo, there were some absolutely stunning moments here. Quick prompts. We're not going to go through all the boring nerdy detail. You guys can watch the full presentation with all the silences cut out if you want. It's on the channel. You might have already seen it. I just want to get to some more of the benchmarks before I really try this together to what it means for Tesla. On these benchmarks, we're looking at Grok 3 reasoning beta and Grok 3 mini reasoning. And these lighter bars here, in essence, once you've received an answer, you go, cool story, bro, but can you think about that a little bit more? Ultimately, you end up with an even better answer, better performance, but it requires more compute. That's what those little bars are on top, right? But even without them, we still have industry-leading performance. But shockingly, stunningly, Grok 3 Mini, at least on the initial runs, and even with some additional thinking in two of these instances, actually outperforms the full Grok 3 reasoning model. What the fuck is going on here? Seems to suggest that Grok 3 Mini has been trained entirely independently. It's not like a distilled version of the full Grok 3 model. And what's really awkward for the rest of the industry here is even the Grok 3 Mini, the watered down, distilled, lower compute, light version, you might call it, even without being asked to think even harder, is outperforming everything else on math, science, and coding. And here we can see the result of one of the queries. Hey, Grok 3, can you please show us the Earth-Mars orbit transfer window, turn it into a bit of code and run it so we can see it visually. Now, look, there may have been some errors here. I don't know. I don't even know what the word is for the people that expertise is in this. What is the word for this? It's not like a astrophysicist, maybe? See, I don't even know. That's how much of a dork I am. Point is, we saw some incredible demonstrations, not just in pure hardcore math, but also in creativity. Grok 3 was asked to combine elements of Tetris and Bejeweled, the latter of which I've never played, but I'm sure it's great. And it came up with a creative solution here. We also had some demonstrations of much deeper reasoning, trying to predict when the next Starship launch would be, blah, 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 blah. And the big bombshell here wasn't just, hey, check out Grok 3 beta, which we're currently working on. It was, hey, motherfuckers, it's now going live. I've been spending hours with this since yesterday. These aren't benchmarks for an unreleased model. This is now live. Grok 3 today is the best LLM on the planet. So, what the fuck does this have to do with Tesla? Well, we now have a direct, real-world example. This is not theoretical or hypothetical. A real-world example of an Elon Musk-led AI effort doing a number of things that people thought were impossible. For example, scaling 200,000 GPUs coherently for training, which nobody thought could be done. All of the industry experts thought, oh yeah, no, we can't do that. Otherwise, they would have already done that. Dumbasses. They build this AI training supercluster in literal world record time, and it's significantly larger than any other training cluster on Earth. Okay, 2 multiple world records here. World record time, stunning stuff. NVIDIA CEO literally says no one else could have done this besides a Musk-led team. And they figured out how to have these things at a scale remaining coherent that no one else thought was possible. That's interesting. Then, having arrived extremely late to the party, in the blink of an eye, they've just dropped a fucking model that is best in class, best in industry, best on Earth, and even their distilled mini model is outperforming the industry's best stuff. This is stunning. One massive advantage that XAI has is access to X, the data stream, text, video, and images. No one else has access. This is a unique source of data, but the truth is, there's so much language, video, and image-based data on the open internet that this is, who cares, bro? You can get enough data to train a language model to exceptional performance, okay? That's not a big deal, but the real-time feed of X is an advantage, but it's not a game-changing advantage. By the way, rest in peace, Tesla investors, including myself, who are banging the table going, please, can Tesla invest in XAI? The valuation's probably gone up like 10, 20, 30, 50 times since I first begged publicly for this to happen. Tesla's got, call it, $36-ish billion of cash and investments. God damn, man. Just 5 or 6, probably $6.9 billion in XAI. Just that founding would have been so delicious. But anyway, that's a side note. What we will see in the future is a lot of hot competition in the LLM space. What do you need? A pretty talented team, a gigantic training supercluster, and a fuckload of data. Data which in essence can be scraped from the open internet, and you can potentially license data too. E.g. if you wanted a cesspool of total leftist brain aids, you could also license data from Reddit and train your model. Of course, if you were to train off the cesspool that is the anus of the internet, Reddit, your model would insist that a man who thinks he's a woman, etc. Now, let's talk Tesla. Unlike training a language model, where anyone has access to a gigantic pool of free data, the open internet, for training language and also pictures and videos. In order to train a vehicle, a robot actually, with wheels, to drive autonomously, to solve autonomy, you might even call it full self-driving, you also need a fuck ton of training compute, a very talented team, a reasonable amount of capital, but most important of all, you need access to a fuck ton of high-quality real-world data. You can't scrape real-world data off the internet. And how do you collect that data? You need to have millions of robots on roads covered in sensors, cameras, to collect said data. As I record this today, Tesla has 7+ million of these things on roads. This is why I describe it as an unassailable data lead. There's no company even close to this scale in terms of data collection in the real world. And unless Tesla's going to start licensing data to third parties for them to train their own FSD, and why would they bother? They'll just license from Tesla. Duh. You have to ask yourself the question, how in the fuck does a company trying to compete against Tesla, led by this motherfucker, who has never known defeat, who's just demonstrated in a parallel example what can be done from a massive disadvantage, years late to the party, out of nowhere, industry leading, how does another company hope to compete with Tesla on autonomy? They don't have the data. How do they get the data? They literally need to put on, call it almost $1 trillion of hardware on roads. And even if they had $1 trillion of capital, they don't have the fucking vehicles. Someone's got to make them. That would take years at scale. Another thing to understand is, unlike a language model, which may hallucinate and not get everything exactly right, the stakes are much higher for autonomous vehicles, which can kill people if things go awry. So what we've seen here is an example of a Musk-led AI effort, arriving years late to the party, and then out of seemingly nowhere, bending over the entire established industry. How did this happen? The extraordinary breakthrough with Grok 3, its rate of progress, is directly applicable to Tesla. People are under the absurd impression, in fact delusion, that solving autonomy, not that big of a deal, and once Tesla does it, everyone else will just figure out how to catch up pretty quickly as well. They don't have access to the data. This is such an incredible gift to Tesla investors to see what's happened with XAI and Grok. You no longer need to even engage your brain and speculate about the leadership under Musk, the unassailable data lead. You don't need to speculate because we've just seen a real world example of a real product that's now available. Grok 3 right now. It's on my app. It's on the desktop. You can use it right now. Best in class, out of nowhere, in world record time. If you're too dim to map what we've seen happen with XAI and Grok onto Tesla and autonomy, what's been going on behind the scenes, then I can't help you. I've never been more confident in Tesla FSD, their data lead, and the inevitability that they'll reach massive scale while others fight for crumbs with a vastly inferior product. Oh, and what's that saying again? Oh yeah, that's right. Don't bet against Elon. Oh, and should we talk about humanoid robots? Yeah, let's do it. Okay, riddle me this. Hypothetically, in theory, how would a company dominate the humanoid robot opportunity? And when I say humanoid robot, I'm talking about a dexterous, intelligent, and increasingly capable humanoid robot that can replace more and more forms of labor. First with very simple, repetitive tasks, but eventually anything a human can do. Well, step one, you'd need to solve vision. For example, put millions of vehicles on roads, collect data, solve 95% of vision, transplant that brain into the humanoid robot. Next minute, your name's Tesla, and that's what you've done. Remember that data, no one else has it? Yeah, good fucking luck with that. The next thing you'd want would be fuck tons of training compute. No problems, right? You'd want to scale that as fast as you can. But then for the home stretch, once you've transplanted the brain, which has already got 95% of vision solved, you need to train that AI that it's in a humanoid form. And importantly, a huge element here is the hand. Big brain that understands the world, vision, seeing, perceiving, playing, and acting. But then how the fuck do you dexterously manipulate your hand with finesse and precision? I mean, walking nowhere near as difficult as mastering a superhuman hand. Well, the way you would do that is to scale up a fleet of these humanoid robots as fast as fucking possible and put them to use in the real world using, wait for it, their brains and their hands. And in order to do that, you'd want to be able to mass produce at staggering scale these humanoid robots. And to do so at a relatively low cost. You'd want expertise in mass producing complicated objects, probably that happen to include electric motors, an FSD computer, lithium-ion batteries. Oh, that kind of almost sounds like electric vehicles. Now, would you want to be competing with Tesla on humanoid robots when they've already solved 95% of vision and been able to transplant that into the robot's brain? And when they already have 15 plus years of experience of mass producing products at scale, featuring many of the same components at industry-leading cost of goods, cheaper than anyone else, faster than anyone else. Oh, and also led by Elon Musk, you don't want to bet against. I mean, personally, if I were in that situation, I'd just throw in the fucking towel. You know how it's going to end, so why even bother? Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, or I can keep going. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.